All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Baby, you know how it goes. It gets lonely in this bed alone. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up.
Welcome back, Powerheads. Here we are with episode 5 of Raising Kanan and the Canaanites as well. So here we are again with your host G Money and my man E Dot and the Invisible Dill. You know, we're gonna dig him up out of somewhere, man. I think he's on an espionage mission somewhere overseas, but we're gonna get him on the screen some point in time. What do you think, E?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it at some point. He's gotta come on video.
We'll waterboard him tonight and then we'll get him in the next episode.
Please help me.
There he goes. Going forward, here we go. It's popping off again. You know, it seems kind of low key, but who's that in the background? Is that Brand Nubian with Grand Poobah? Slow Down? Classic. And it's definitely all about the crack game and whatnot. So, you know, it's Tropicana. She's really juicy. It's really in depth. So, you know, props for pulling out that classic piece of hip hop right there. Death, as usual, is following Kanan. He reaches down and, you know, wipes off his clean Air Force Ones with a little bit of spot of blood from the last time. He didn't hide his shoes. This time he hid his shirt. Then he comes downstairs. And what is he faced with at the table?
Rock has a shirt on the table. Like, rule number 1, they told him the last time, you take that stuff off, you burn it. You do not leave it around the house. Like, they told him this the last time they went through this. He does not learn his lessons. Rock was gonna find out one way or the other, but to find it because you hid the shirt underneath your bed, I mean, you had the evidence that you were there in her house. Like that to me, that's just insane that he was able to, that he thought that was okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, he panicked. He panicked and he was actually trying to please his mom, trying to get ready for that course that she had him lined up for. Little did he know that he was being sabotaged at the same time. But basically he was rushing so much so he could change clothes to impress his mom and make sure he follows his mom's instructions, when in reality he wasn't following them at all, was he?
Not at all. I mean, she told him, don't go anywhere near the stash house. But you do have to give him credit. He took full responsibility for what happened. And she knew he was lying, but she respected the fact that he took full responsibility and he didn't put anybody else, he didn't throw anybody else underneath the bus.
And that's more evidence that she's that chess master that we always look for in the Power series. Definitely, I don't think Monet would have been able to just tease it out a little bit and get a little information from Marvin and a little information from Kanan to get the whole piece of the story.
No, not at all. Monet was not capable of that. She was too trigger happy, a little bit too on me. I'm gonna act emotionally side, whereas Rock is she's very calculated and she's acting much more so on the, you know, the logical side and reading between the lines of everything that's going on.
So then we got the quorum. You know, Mama's ruling house. Mama Rock is ruling house. She's got herself. She's got big brother Marvin and little brother Lulu, and they're all sitting around the table. And who was that just catching the hell right about then?
Marvin was catching a lot of hell at that table. I'm telling you right now. I mean, to be the older brother, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I would have probably had to pull some type of deference because no one's gonna talk to me like that. No, absolutely not. Especially not my little brother just sitting over there co-signing everything. He's over there just all the ad libs. Whew. Yeah. Wow. Like it was.
See, I tried to tell you.
Tried to tell you. That's crazy. He had all the ad-libs.
Yeah, man. He was definitely like on some cartoon shit. So moving forward from there, you know, it all spills out to the street. So, you know, Rock dismisses them, but the conversation keeps going between Lulu and your boy Marvin, and then comes out, these guys, they're definitely relatives because they went personal right away. He called him a fake ass Quincy Jones. And he said, with your girl being screwed by the Porter Rock. But then he turned it right around to Marvin, didn't he? He said, oh, well, wasn't you the guy with the baby's mama who got screwed by the New York Knicks who turned her out to the rest of the team? And Marvin didn't appreciate that much, did he?
Nah, I didn't appreciate that at all. And, you know, it led to a little led to a little sidewalk rumble.
Little dust up.
Yeah, a little dust up. Some punches were thrown. Some tussling was going on until the fabulous and ultra proactive NYPD showed up and got on their microphone and said, "Hey, don't make us get out of this car.
Have a nice day." That to me was hilarious, number one. But then also what was even funnier is the lack of skills. And it's like I don't ever remember fighting that poorly since the third grade.
No, I don't think so ever either. We never tried to spear each other and hug each other the entire time. I mean, I don't know about you, but at least had a little bit of a troubled childhood. So been in a couple dust ups myself, and I never tried to hug the other person as much as they did in that fight.
I'm like 97-4, and I never threw a punch with my right rear leg sticking right out where you can't get any type of leverage or anything.
No. I'm 100% sure I've never thrown a punch where my back foot was not on the ground. So, just saying.
Technique points out the window. All right. Then, they got together, as usual, everybody's meeting by the bodega. It used to be, I guess they got a couple spots now that the bodega's been in play, but I think they probably already had the bodega as their hangout spot, Kanan's crew and whatnot, even before Rock started really seizing on what's going on. And then, Juke is like, she's feeling herself. She's talking about, I know what girls like and all this other stuff. And then your boy, Kanan, knows exactly what's up right away, but Famous is still a little clueless, isn't he?
Very clueless, very clueless. By the way, I just want to say that one of my favorite words to say whenever I'm in New York is bodega, because we don't have those anywhere else. So it's an amazing word to say.
It's dope shit.
It's the bodega.
It's like 7-Eleven, but you're going straight to the minority. There's no buffer.
Yeah, no buffer at all. I mean, you go to the bodega, they sell shoes, they sell everything at the bodega. You can get anything you want at a bodega in New York. But no, Kanan definitely knew everything that she was talking about. He knew all that. That's why he called her out and he said, "I know your secret."
That to me was like, this is the low blow episode. There's people shooting bolos at this point. And when he responded to that, because Juke was right on point. I mean, out of everything that was going on, she just had a sense that Davita was the rat.
Oh, I mean, and I think in the grand scheme of things, I think that Kanan knew that Davina was the rat as well, but he wanted it to be someone else. He felt like he needed it to be someone else to take the heat off of Davina, because obviously he is very much so attracted and in love with Davina.
First loves, that's how that goes. Then your boy Famous is like, I don't want to be left out of the picture. So he's thinking like, okay, well, let me try to put Juke on, because he said it literally. He was like, "You're gonna be so much on my dick." So he invites her to the studio, and little do you know, I guess Marvin caught a couple of those bolos from. Lou caught a couple of those bolos from Marvin, and maybe it scrambled his brains up to start thinking about, okay, maybe he should take care of his knees a little bit. But the Milo and Camacho are just going at it in the studio. What's up with the finances there?
Hey man, look, I'm trying to tell you something right now. I've worked with some companies. My paycheck has been late before too. And I tell you one thing for sure, things for certain. When I show up, my paycheck is late. I had the same attitude that he has. I'm like, look, all right, I came to work for the past 2 weeks, so you're paying me for past work. So if I haven't gotten paid yet, we got a problem. The paycheck today is for the previous time. You're not paying me for going forward. You're paying me for what I've already done. I don't blame him. I mean, I think it's a little bit tacky to do it in front of, in front of people that are not associated with what's going on. But at the same time, someone who's not getting paid, I can understand that frustration of working for a company and the check's late or the check bounces and things like that.
Yeah, so then what's happening is your girl Jess jumps in Lou's lap and she gets the permission. She's like, "You like what I'm doing here, baby?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then so basically it's kind of like she put a battery pack in his backpack, right? He's all of a sudden Mr. Money Man, and he's like, blah, 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 blah. "Oh, what you need, what you need." And he starts breaking cats off. And then he's like, "Oh, by the way, Juke's gonna sing on the record."
Yeah, he's about half as dumb as PJ Washington. Hopefully, he doesn't keep letting her bleed him for money going forward. But yeah, it's crazy. It's she knew what she was doing when she jumped in his lap. She wanted that studio session to keep going, and she knew that she has the persuasive powers to get him to start spending some money. Granted, it got Juke on, and if you really listen to the track that they created, the track was way more about Juke than it was about Famous.
Yeah, well, I gotta say something. Famous did step up his game just before she got on the mic. He was kind of like flowing in that Cool G rap zone, So I was like, okay, he's actually brushed up since the last time. He did his homework a little bit, but Juke, when she went ahead and touched the mic, man, it was just magic.
But that track couldn't survive with just his rap. It needed jukebox. It needed jukebox on the hook. It needed her vocals, it needed all that. Regardless of how I personally feel about his rap game, it definitely could not survive without Juke on the track or any female with any type of, vocal expertise.
Yeah, she was definitely killing it. So moving on from there, we got Juke on the high. She's up there with her cuddle boo. Nicole, and they're doing their thing, and they're talking about white folks spaghetti, and apparently white folks spaghetti should have been the name of that scene because it didn't quite taste right by the time Nicole's mother just kicked the door in.
I'm going to say this, especially considering, the day and age that we live in, I'm very surprised that the writers went that direction. Right now, obviously, we know that, inclusion and diversity is a major pillar of everything going on in this country, whether it be hiring or, anything like that. So the fact that they decided to introduce, this LGBTQ relationship into the storyline when it really didn't have to be there,
It kind of did. It kind of did. They're trying to play straddle the fence. They're trying to make sure they don't alienate folks, and getting some more folks involved. It really didn't go down to power like that, with the exception of Lobo. But if you notice, even in Ghost Book 2, you got old boy who was the son, who he had his little love interest. So they're always trying to expand on their audience and keep them in play. I think they kind of had to do that in order to bring along that demographic.
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is though, to introduce this into a situation that it really was not necessary to do it one way or the other, right? Neither direction really mattered. Like Jukebox could have been straight, could have had a great story. Jukebox could be, LGBTQT, and it still is the same story. It doesn't really change too much of the story, but to then put in, a group of people who were not inclusive and are throwing her out, telling her they're going to call the police, to me kind of undermines the fact that you put it in the first place, because you're also now saying that it's acceptable for it to be.
But you got to keep in mind, it's the 80s, a lot of folks stayed in the closet during the 80s, man, because it's like they felt they couldn't come out at home. It really looked like the dude, the dad, he was still a little confused, but he kind of caught on when Nicole fessed up that she had kissed her. But the mom just went ballistic. And then she was like, if you ever come back around here, I will say that you raped her. And to me, this is really the part in the whole series so far where you actually see the jukebox shine, because her acting job was just phenomenal. From the way she stumbled down the stairs, her shoulders were choked up because she was crying. She had the water faucets on, man. It was an awesome acting job.
It was an absolutely amazing acting job. Like I said, like I said, in my opinion, I do think that, we are in 2021 and you introduce something into a scenario that we can agree to disagree on the fact of whether it was necessary or it wasn't. But what we can agree on is that in today's climate, not being acceptable of that is a problem. And so I was very surprised that, they decided to depict this family being, anti. It's just shocking to me in today's society, because currently right now, as you know, you cannot have that perspective and not get canceled. You get fired, you lose your job, you You'll be publicly shamed, all of that. And so it's very surprising to see them take that avenue.
I mean, but I look at it like it's true to the game, man. I mean, it's like, they sticking with the time period. So meanwhile, your boy, he's got another batter in his pack, your boy Kanan, and he has definitely convinced himself, despite his common sense, that Scrappy is the rat and whatnot.
He does not believe that for real. He's playing himself. He needs someone else to blame other than himself, because obviously he does know that if it actually is who Juke said it was, that's going to come back on Kanan. So he needs somebody else to take the fault.
Yeah, I think he's probably still a little impetuous and a little, angry and whatnot, and he's just reacting and rebelling to the possibility, which is the most likely scenario, that DeVita sold him out. Keep in mind, we got the benefit of the fact that we actually saw DeVita sell him out, and the reasons behind it were, there was some integrity behind that. She was trying to look out for her mom, but the point is like, we have the benefit of that. So I thought it was pretty astute of Jukebox to be able to pull that out. So then, we got a much better fight scene, even though it wasn't great. It was like some give and take, and meanwhile Marvin had whipped Blue's ass, even though both of them were horrible. But the Kanan, at least he took some and he gave some, and then next thing you know, Detective Howard and Burt, they pull up and they snatch him in, and they grill him at the station. And while they're grilling him at the station, Scrappy's also there, and he's sitting across the way. And who shows up?
Rock's little boo thing shows up to pick up Kanan, and Scrap was pissed.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't know exactly who Simp was, but he just knows this dude is not supposed to be doing this for one person.
Yep, he had no clue who that guy was. I think it was a good call on Kanan's part, because his mom was on his ass. I think that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, but I think we're going to see a little bit later that it might have actually been a smart move, because Rock is, at the end of the day, an amazing chess player. She's not playing checkers, she's playing chess.
There you go. But he at the same time, he's Symphony's trying to play a little checkers too. He's trying to get in good with the fam. He's trying to make a little buddy there. So, he's like, okay, let's get out of here. And they basically kind of punk Detective Howard a little bit. But by the time he leaves, Detective Howard has a blood sample on his desk, and he's also researching, Kanan's birth date, because he thought Kanan was much older than he was. So that's something that we'll pick up at the end of the show. But that right there, that was huge. And I guess that's why he's a detective. Even though when him and Bert, they hit the stash house earlier, they saw blood, vomit, red caps, and they're like, nothing to see here.
They knew nothing they were going to find was going to lead them to anything, okay? They didn't have a body. They didn't have anything to match any of that DNA up to. It was just, okay, well, this is pointless. Like, whoever was shot here, that body's in the bottom of a fucking river somewhere. Like, this is useless.
There you go. So let's roll forward with Scrapadopoulus. He's walking down the street, and then all of a sudden he sees the white Jeep, and it's like everybody seems to be scared the hell out of Rock, because as soon as the Rock pulls over, he's like,
he spilled the beans so quick. It was unbelievable. I'm like, hey, Jesus Christ.
0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, like at least, at least Kanan, when Rock caught him, obviously being at the stash house, at least Kanan had the nerve to fess up to as much as he needed to, but lie about the rest of it, but enough to be like, all right, it sounds close to the truth. This dude, second she pulled him over. No. He pulled up on me. I had to do what I had to do. It was in front of the entire block. I didn't mean... You don't even know why she pulled up.
Maybe that's why the song in the beginning of the episode was, slow down. Yeah, he was going a little too fast there. But then next thing you know, towards the end of the episode, your boy Scrappy looks very disgruntled, and he's talking with Unique, and he's talking about switching sides. But then again, didn't you mention that somebody was a chess player?
I firmly believe that Scrappy, if we do remember, Rock said she was gonna hit back at Unique, and she pulled over Scrappy in the middle of the street, like there was nobody around. It was very, clandestine almost. I personally think that Scrappy is an implant, and this is intentional because people know what happened. So it's very easy to believe that, Scrap's gonna leave. I got into a fight with Rock's son. Rock's gonna disown me. Very easy for him to then be able to infiltrate, what's going on. So I think, like I said before, Rock being a chess player, she's looking at all the pieces on the board and she's saying, "Oh, I can make this work."
So meantime, getting back to Howard, we bouncing around a little bit. But this is what we got to do. Your boy Howard, he goes to the doc. Doc is like, okay, these cousins that you dredges up from Mississippi or South Carolina, wherever, no matches, right? But then towards the end of the episode, he comes up on Rock. He's got a little something to say, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the timeline does not add up. Rock's husband, who's in jail right now, could actually be Kanan's father. And the timeline does line up for him. Now, I don't know if that was the smartest move on his part, because I believe Rock to be the type of person that would kill to keep that a secret. So I don't know if it was necessarily the smartest move to make, because, obviously going forward, we've never heard that Kanan's father was a police officer. So because we've never heard that, does lead me to believe that in one way or another, that information had been kept from Kanan for his entire life, because obviously this is a reverse, trilogy. So shall we call it, right? So we know the outcome. Now we're going and getting the backstory. We know he never knew his father was a cop, which has got to lead me to believe something happens to Officer Howard before he's able to tell Kanan.
But, I was checking out the net and whatnot, and somebody actually pointed up a very interesting fact. And that is that at one point in time, Kanan was telling Tommy and them that he had to go see his mom. And that's in the not too distant past from Power. So maybe Rock made it out of there.
Rock might have made it out of there, but I'm going to tell you that Rock made it out, but Rock didn't ever tell him who his father was.
Yeah, or he might have killed him. If you're old Kanan or new Kanan would kill him. Old Kanan would be like, Dad.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it leads me to believe that he never knew, for one reason or another. Obviously, either Rock scared the hell out of Officer Howard, and so he decided to never say anything, or what I think is going to happen is that one way or another, he's going to die. Either through the, cancer that he has, or through external factors.
I think they're going to save his life and tell him to skip town.
That would require Kanan knowing what's going on, and I don't think he knows. And so that's why I think it's going to be one of the other options. He's either going to die of natural causes or external factors.
External factors. A bullet to the head. But who we getting? Who's on first? I think somebody else has a rocket strapped to their behind, and I'm like, what is taking so long? The bodega owner. And Rocky actually had to shut him down, and he totally punked out because he's willing to whip up on his wife, right? But then she's like, well, when we have a handshake and we want to renegotiate, we do that with our hands. And she said, I don't think you want that, Poppy.
I don't see him lasting very long. Honestly, he's a problem at this point. He's doing too much of this right here, talking too much shit. Look, fam, they're paying you more money than you're bringing in, selling whatever groceries you're selling out your bodega. Okay, shut up.
Get paid.
Deal with it.
Get paid.
And if they come through and take a couple fucking cans of dog food every now and then,
shut the fuck up.
Chalk it up to the game and call it a day.
I think that little mommy's about to be put in charge of that shit because I think she's a little bit more malleable, and dude is obviously a punk coward anyway, so he's got to go. I
don't see him lasting more than 1 or 2 more episodes tops because he's talking too much. He's going to create too much heat.
Yeah, it's time to go. So, meanwhile, like your girl Rock, she finally gives into the pressure. Her and Kanan head to the kitchen. She cooks it up. She shows him to cook. And, so now, and then one of the things that he presses towards the end of the episode when he's narrating his 50 was like, everybody looks at people who come from my environment and say, oh, he had no choice. Of course, he ended up that way. And he said, no, I had a choice. So, because remember, he could have gone on scholastically and dissipated.
Yeah, like Cat Williams said, he says, baking soda, water, I don't know the recipe. Kanan learned the recipe and he figured it out. But I think that's things to come. Obviously, we know the type of life that Kanan lived as an adult. So we obviously understand he had to learn this from somewhere. And, his mom said something to him that was very telling and was the most honest thing that I think any parent has said to their child in the entire series. And that was, she said, all right, I want you to learn this for when I'm not here. And he's like, well, you promised me that you would always be here. And her response to that statement was, all right, but now that you know the game, you understand that that's not a promise that I can actually keep.
Legit.
The realest thing that any parent has ever said to their child in this series. Like any of it. Going back to the original Power, all seasons of the original Power, 2 spinoffs. I think that was the realest thing that a parent has ever said to their child is like, hey, look, yeah, now that you know that I can't keep that promise.
Yeah, man. So they got to come in attraction scenes, and I'm like shocked because, and maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like I see Symphony getting pistol whipped by Rock.
And that's probably true because he didn't tell her what happened.
Yeah, but she was like, take this with you. I was like, oh.
Either that or what I've been thinking since the beginning. And I haven't shared this yet. So this is kind of like my first time actually sharing it. And it's kind of coming out as being, something's going on. I don't know if Symphony is there with the purest intentions. I'll put it that way. I don't know if he's there with the purest intentions. I think there's a lot that's going on. There's, let's call it what it is, right? This younger, more, this younger, handsome man is attracted to who's educated, supposedly is attracted to this older drug dealer woman. I don't trust his intentions to be pure. And I don't know if it's because he's working for the competition and trying to garner as much information as possible and get into the inside. Or, hell, who knows? He could be long haul undercover cop at this point. We don't know, but I don't trust his intentions whatsoever.
She bops him upside the grill with a gat. His cover is either blown or that's the end of his involvement in the series. But isn't it wild how we keep talking about, the masterpiece moves of Rock. And if you recall, a couple of episodes ago, Symphony was telling her about the high rises and history of high rises and how you could always see something coming. And next thing you know, she's got the apartments on top of each other. She's got these guys coming in, making drop shoots. She's basically turning that apartment complex into the Carter. I was like, where's the Nino Brown and the butt naked Jamaican dude?
He's too hip to know what's going on.
But see, we don't know enough of his backstory though. Because his backstory may be, he's got those type of folks in his fam, of people he grew up with, stuff like that he has good tight bonds with, and maybe it's just like, he's used to dealing with that stuff. All right, there we go. So that's a good hell of a way to sign off. It's your boy G Money, your boy E Dot, your boy the Thriller Dealer in Manila. In the background, we gonna find him one day. It's like, where's Waldo? See you in 2 weeks, not next week. Peace. gonna get you with something that neither Lou nor Marvin knows how to do, and that is I'm hitting you with the straight punch.
Back foot on the ground still, by the way.
On the ground.